All right. Hello, everybody. So today we're going to continue discussing Chapter 5, Section 3. And Chapter 5, Section 3 has to do with solving multi step linear inequalities. And so, as I said yesterday in my previous video, these are tricky. They're tricky because there's a lot of steps and there's a lot of opportunities to make a mistake with your arithmetic, or even with if you're multiplying or dividing both sides of the inequality and you need to flip things over. But there's just a lot of opportunities to make a mistake. So it's important to pay really close attention to your details as you're working through, so you're not making silly mistakes and getting completely wrong answers. So we're going to start out with, it's kind of like a word problem. It's more of a descriptive word problem than a word problem per se in like a real life example. But it says 5 minus 6 times a number is more than 4 times the number plus 45. Find the number. So what they want you to do is they want you to take this description and they want you to write an algebraic expression that represents the description that you see here. So it says 5 minus 6 times a number. So that's going to be 5 minus 6. Now, this is where it's tricky. Times a number. We do not know what the number is, so we're going to call it x. And then it says is more than. More than is the same as greater than. So is more than 4 times the number, there again an x, plus 45. And then it says find the number, which means solve the inequality. So let's try this again. 5 minus 6 times a number. That's this part. 5 minus 6 times a number. Then it says is more than. Is more than is a greater than sign. And then the second part says 4 times the number, 4 times the number, plus 45. So there is our inequality. Now we need to solve it. And so I'm going to draw my line. I'm going to look at the left-hand side and see if there's anything to combine. In this case, there is not. I'm going to look at the right-hand side and see if there's anything to combine. There is not. So now we can proceed to move our variables to the left-hand side. So I'm going to subtract 4x. And I end up with 5 minus 10x is greater than 45. Now you can see my x's are all combined into 1, which is good, but there's still stuff happening to that x. It's being multiplied by negative 10, and I know it doesn't look like it, but this is a positive 5, so it's being added to 5. So we need to undo both of those things. We need to undo the 5 and the negative 10. The first one we're going to undo is the 5 by subtracting 5 from both sides. And so we have negative 10x is greater than 40. And now we need to undo the negative 10 times x by dividing both sides by negative 10. And x is, remember, we got to flip the sign, less than negative 4. And there's your solution. All right, we're going to try another one of these. It says 2 more than half of a number is greater than 27. So there again, 2 more than, which means add, half of a number, 1/2 x, and then that is greater than 27. So there's our linear inequality, and we now need to solve it. Now, this one's not nearly as complicated as the last one because it's only a 2-step. It's not variables on both sides and having to combine like terms or distribute or any of that stuff. So we just need to get the x by itself. Now, again, taking stock of what's happening to the x, it's being multiplied by 1/2. It is also being added to 2. So we need to undo both of those. We're going to undo the 2 first by subtracting 2. So then we end up with 1/2 x is greater than 25. Okay, now from there, you need to multiply both sides of the equation We would normally divide by 1/2, but we don't divide by fractions. We multiply by the reciprocal. So this is the keep, change, flip. So we're going to keep the 1/2. We're going to change it to 2 over 1. And we're going to flip it to 2 over 1. Sorry, we're going to change it to multiplication. So you can see that cancels, this cancels, and we're left with x is greater than 50. Just like that. And so there is our final answer. X is greater than 50. Now we've got 2 more of these to do. These are multi-step inequalities. And so let's do it. We're going to multiply this. Not multiply, we're going to draw our line. Now we're going to look at the left-hand side. And we're going to see that there's a lot going on over there. And there's a set of parentheses, and those parentheses are going to need to be distributed. That -5. Same thing here. There's a 4, and that's going to have to be distributed. So before we try moving anything around, we need to distribute this -5 to the t and the -5, and we need to distribute this 4 to the t and the 3. And so doing that, we get 9t minus 5t plus 25 less than or equal to 4t minus 12. Now from there, there's still work to be done on the sides individually. If you look over here, that side, there are like terms that need to be combined. We are not moving things left or right until we have combined all of our like terms. So 9t minus 5t is 4t plus 25 is less than or equal to 4t minus 12. Now from there, if you see this, you can see that this side is simplified. There's nothing else to do. You can't combine there. If you look at this side, that side is simplified and there's nothing else to do there. Now we can begin to move our variables to one side. So I'm going to subtract 4t from both sides. And when I do that, all of the variables cancel from both sides. Let's see what we're left with. We're left with 25 over here, a less than or equal to, and then we're left with a -12 there. Now, if you look at this statement for a second, and you can see that it says 25 is less than or equal to -12. That is false. That is completely false. So I'm going to put an X over that, and I'm going to write false. So because this is a false statement, and it happened because the variables canceled on both sides, you can see the 4t there and the 4t there, they all canceled. We were left with what is a false statement. Therefore, there is no solution. Now the last one, it's going to be a similar problem in that there's a lot of stuff going on either side of the inequality, and we need to be sure that we clean all of that up first. So you can see I'm distributing those over. So the 3 gets distributed to the 4m, I get a 12m. The 3 gets distributed to the 6, and I get an 18. On the right-hand side, the 42 drops down. The 6 distributes to the 2m, and it gives me 12m. And then the 6 distributes to the -4, and I get -24. Now, looking at each side individually, we need to determine whether we can simplify. This right here, that can't be simplified. 12m and 18 are not like terms. Therefore, we are done with those. Now, looking over here, you can see I have a 42. I have a 12m, and then I have a -24. This 42 and this 24 are like terms. Therefore, they need to be combined. So we are going to subtract 42 minus 24. So the left-hand side stays 12m plus 18. The sign says less than or equal to, and then we have 42 minus 24, which gives me 18 plus 12m. Okay. Now from there, I want to get my variables to the same side. So I'm going to subtract 12m. I'm going to subtract 12m. And you can see, once again, all of the variables cancel away. And what we get left with this time is a true statement, which is 18 is less than or equal to 18. So this is true. And so because it's true, you get infinite solutions. And again, the reason why we can write that is all of the variables go away and we are just left with a true statement. That is very important, that it's only when the variables cross out from both sides do you write true or false. And the last question says, what is most important when solving inequalities using multiplication and division? And that answer would be, if you multiply or divide by a negative, you need to flip the sign over. All right, guys, that's what I have for you today. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Have a great day.